How's your day going so far? Good? Yes, awesome. Glad to hear it. Well, I'd like to officially welcome you all into the Animation Academy. My name is Mia. I'm going to be your Disney artist for this class, and we are celebrating spooky season. Yes, right, which means we are drawing villains. And for this very specific villain, we are going to be drawing a very spooky man. We're going to be drawing the Shadow Man himself, Dr. Facilier, from Princess and the Frog for this class. So, I love this villain, so he's honestly my favorite villain, so hopefully you guys like him too. Now, before we get on with Facilier, we're going to go over a few things. On the stage, you're going to see my friend Danny. Everyone say hi, Danny. Hi, Danny. Danny is another one of our amazing artists here, as well as our TA for this class. So if your pencil breaks, rolls into the seat, anything like that, just raise your hand up nice and high. One of us will be happy to help you. If you need to exit for any reason, Danny's about to show you door number 3. If you give that a hard push, it leads you right back outside. Now, if this is your first time at the Animation Academy, you're going to notice that we're missing something from our pencils. What are we missing?
Eraser.
An eraser, exactly. All the alumni know for sure. Now, we don't need erasers here because we draw in a rough sketch format. So what that means is we're going to start off really light and loose, and we're going to go back and darken in just our favorite lines. This is going to help us start off with basic shapes, which for Facilier will be a circle, and we're just going to build on top of that. So, is everyone ready to begin? Yes, perfect. Let's get started. Now, on our page here, we're going to place the circle over the top. I'm going to be adding his hat as well, so you got to leave some room. I take back what I said about halfway up at the top. I'm going to say center third of the page, just like leaving lots of room above and below. And I like to make a lot of circles, so we have options. I like to have options. It's up to you. Mine's a ping pong ball. You can make yours like a baseball, maybe an orange. It's good stuff. You have a bigger page than I do, but I would say no more than like a third. We're then going to divide this in half by placing a vertical line going right down the middle. And I'm going to add a horizontal line about a third from the bottom. These lines are going to help us find his facial features, but from here we need to start to build up his chin, because if you're familiar with the character, he has a very big, confident chin. So we're going to expand a lot from the circle. I'm going to measure the size of the circle itself, and I'm going to bring down on my hands, and right where your thumb is, I'm going to add a little tick mark. That's the size of his chin. It's quite big. So we're going to then go from the circle, and I'm going to add some diagonals that are then going to curve down to meet that tick mark here. So we're going to give him this very big chin, because sometimes physical traits tell us a lot about the character themselves. So a big chin equals confidence, and he is very confident. So we give him this really big chin. We call it a lantern jaw. From there, we're going to move up, and we're now going to build up his hat. This is going to cover up quite a bit of the circle. It's going to be like tilting down, like he's peering at you from like the rim. So we're going to go a little bit above the horizontal line. I'm going to add a tick mark. Then I'm going to go above the circle itself, quite a bit above. I'm going to add another tick mark. And we're going to add an oval that touches both of those. So this should be a wide oval. It's a little bit wider than it is taller. It should definitely be wider than the head shape. Adding quite a few big ovals there. And we're going to add the top of the hat from here. Now his hat is so tall that we're actually not going to see the entirety of it on the page. We're going to see the very top of the hat though. And we're going to do that by going to the top of the circle and adding a U. And bringing up 2 curved lines. His head gets a little bit wider as it gets taller, so I just bow this out slightly. Yeah, exactly. And then we're going to add a band about a third of the way down. The very last detail we need for the hat at the moment is going to be his feather. He has one really big feather that kind of sticks off to the right-hand side. I like to create it by creating 2 lines that start from a point and go outward. And then it's going to take a bit of a corner. So to show that, I'm going to bring across the diagonal and just bring this back. So it's going to show that this feather is folding over. Now I know that was a lot of information, so at this moment we're not going to add anything new. What we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to darken in our favorite lines for this hat. And we call this locking in. So if you've never been here before, that just means I'm pushing down on my pencil and I'm now going to darken in my very favorite lines. As I lock in the hat here, you're going to notice that all of the light lines will start to fade into the background, which is our goal. So if you weren't a big fan of the circle, for example, or your ovals or anything like that, that's perfectly okay, because they'll all disappear behind the dark lines. If you look at my drawing, your eyes are going to go straight to the hat, and even his head shape is already starting to disappear. So once you have the those top portions, I'm going to lock in the oval, but we're only going to lock in the portions that are not covered up. So the part that goes behind the top part of the hat, we're going to leave that light and we're going to let it fade away. And then we have his nice big accessory. We then can continue down and we're going to continue his head shape. Now, we need to give him some really sharp cheekbones. His cheekbones are on point. They're super sharp, like Angelina Jolie style. So we're going to add these by going in between the circle and the chin. It's going to fill in this little gap here. I'm going to start this a little bit above the horizontal line. And then I'm going to bring this down to the bottom of that circle, adding those cheekbones. We can now lock in the cheekbones as well as the remainder of the head shape that's not being covered up. So I'm going to just add the tiny little sliver of the circle right above it. We're not going to see much of that original circle with this locking in, just a tiny bit. Just showing that above space. And we can also lock in the chin itself. Now, does anyone know who the voice actor from Facilier is? I was like, yeah, I heard it. Yeah, his name is Keith David. And if you don't know him, you're probably familiar with his work. First off, if you've seen Princess and the Frog, but if you've seen Hercules or Coraline or Nope, he's in all of these movies. If you've seen Coraline, he plays the cat in that movie. He's a very talented actor. Plus, he has a great singing voice. Just saying. His songs in the movie are probably my favorite ones. He's a very good voice actor. I literally this morning saw him on TikTok singing his famous song on he got invited to a nightclub or something, and they invited him on the stage, and they're like, "Hey, let's sing." And I was like, man, I would have freaked out if I was there. Just saying, that would have been epic. Now from this shape, we're going to go down, and we're now going to give him every word just left my body, but we're going to give him his shoulders. His shoulders are going to start with a curve toward the bottom of the chin, and since he's going to be peering slightly up at us, the shoulders go pretty high up, right up against the top there. We're going to add the collar of his outfit by adding 2 C curves off to the side. And we're going to then add the outside of the collar by adding an L shape with a C curve underneath. It's going to add that outfit there. We can lock this in as well. And we also need to give him his necklace. Now, in the movie they call him the Shadow Man, and that's because of the voodoo. And for that reason, he has this necklace that has some teeth on it. I'm going to add those, and these teeth also give us a few more sharp points for his design. I know, I get it, drawing is hard, I totally get it, and he is a hard character, so totally rightful. Yeah, so I'm going to add this U here going from one side of the collar to the other. And the reason that sharp points are very helpful for this character is because he's a villain. Sharp points help us show that the character is a little less trustworthy. We're not supposed to trust him all the way, even though Naveen trusts him just a little too much, but that's just because he had his own motive. But we're not supposed to trust him in the movie, therefore they give him these sharper features to show that. But princesses, Tiana for example, she's very round, so she looks trustworthy. We're always supposed to trust her. Now that we have that, this is the silhouette of the character, right? If we were to shade in this whole drawing and play Who's That Pokemon, you might be able to guess who this is. But we're still building it up quite a lot. And to make this really look like Facilier, we now need to add his face. His face is going to start with his nose, and this is going to sit in the center of his head shape. Now, how's everybody doing so far? All right, mixed reviews, that's okay. Surprisingly, it got quieter in here, but anyway. Yeah, so it's okay. If you're not seeing Facilier on your page quite yet, perfectly fine. Like I mentioned, we still need his face. Mine looks like Slenderman, so we're still getting there. It's okay. But I will say, how many of you, is this your first time drawing Facilier? Okay, I'm going to say probably most of you, perfect, which means you're probably doing a lot better than you think. He's a very challenging character, and we tend to have to go a little bit faster for the villains as well. So we're high speed, which is okay, because that means we're Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow. Anyways, we're going to now add his nose, and this nose is going to sit in the center of his face. So I'm going to go between the cheekbones, and I'm going to add an oval. So this should go below the horizontal line, but filling in that space between the horizontal line and the circle. Now we're not going to lock in this solid oval or else he'll look like Rudolph. So instead we're going to lock in the sides with these C curves And then just adding his nostrils underneath. And that's going to give him his nose. Not too difficult to shape. We also then need to give him his eyes, and his eyes are going to sit, like I said, where he's going to be like peering over the rim of the hat. So the goal here is to have the eyes slightly covered up. I'm going to add a U on each side. So we want to, we're using that center line to find the center, and then we're just going slightly besides that. And before we lock in these U's, we're going to bring down his eyebrows just a little bit. Now, we're not going to see the entirety of them, but we want to give him that evil look. And the eyebrows are the key to making him go from like happy to evil. You know, we need to give him those evil eyebrows. So I'm going to bring down a little check mark that goes right below the hat. And this is going to cover up a tiny bit of that U. And he's already looking a lot more vicious. You know, just looking a little bit more evil. And then we can lock in those eyes. On the inside of the eyes, we're going to see his pupils, and this is the most flexible part of his design. You can give him hearts, stars, you could put like a voodoo doll in there or something. You put Scrump. Have you seen Lilo and Stitch? Yeah, Scrump from Lilo and Stitch actually makes an appearance in this movie with a bunch of voodoo dolls. There's like a scene where they scan over a bunch of voodoo dolls, and you can see Scrump. Which I was like, okay, Lilo. Anyways, I'm going to add his eyes on the inside. You can really give him whatever shape you want, but then shade is in. Now, movies go through a lot of changes over the years, and this movie was one and the same. When they were designing this movie in the very beginning, they wanted Facilier to actually be the son of the other, wow. I really can't talk today. It's just not my day, but it's all right. It's okay. They wanted him to be the son of Mama Odie, since they both had voodoo, but essentially he was going to turn to like the dark side, going full Star Wars. And then they were going to have a big battle at the end. Don't get me wrong, that sounds super fun. I understand why they changed it, because they just didn't really have the time in the movie. However, it would have been really cool to see that, because I feel like it would have been cool to have this like epic showdown at the end with all of their like voodoo and stuff. But they did change it out, so he's all on his own now. Now that we do have those eyes, I added some eye bags, because villains just don't take naps. It's a fact. If they did, they probably wouldn't be a villain, so it's just how it is. I always take naps, and that's why I'm usually happier. But we're then going to go down and we're going to give him his smile. And this is going to push that evil grin. And this smile is going to go all the way to the cheekbone. It's literally going to be a big U that touches the cheekbones there. His cheekbones will be sharp. And we're going to lock this in. We can then place his open mouth right underneath. So I'm going to add a nice big U. Stretching down. Now this is going to show the inside of his mouth, but we also need to thicken out the outside, giving him some lips. When you thicken out the top lip, I'm going to thicken out the line just a bit more than the rest, because we need to give him his mustache. He doesn't really have a lot of detail with the mustache there, so I just thicken out this line. And it just acts as his mustache as well, giving him that facial hair there. And then we're going to add his bottom lip by thickening out the lower line. Going all the way around. Now, in the inside of his mouth, this is one of my favorite features for Facilier. I think that it's just like a really nice feature that we don't see in a lot of characters. He actually has a separation in between his front teeth. I'm going to show the teeth by adding a line almost to the bottom, and I'm going to add that separation by locking in the center line. So it shows this little gap here. I just think it's a really cool design. You don't see that super often, and I think it just kind of makes it look cute. And from there, really anything else you want to give your Facilier is considered extra credit. I always recommend some shading because it makes your drawing go quite a long way. I like shading the band to his hat, as well as add some shading here and there as well. Just make sure not to shade in his eyes or his teeth. But I'm going to use the side of my pencil because this is the softest and fastest way to shade. It definitely helps throughout the drawing. Now, you don't have to shade it in. If you want to shade it in later, you definitely can as well, if you feel like you're running behind. But the very last thing that I like to add, again some extra credit, is the skull and crossbones on his hat. I think this adds a lot to the character, and if you would like to add it, it's very cartoony. It's like these really, really rounded teeth and like an oval and some eyes. But yeah, that's really it. If you wanted to add something in the background, you could add some green, because that's all he needs. Or you can add like the frogs or something like that. But whenever you're done, find a spot on your page and sign your name nice and proud, because every artist needs a signature, and that's it. Now I would love to see all of your amazing drawings, so we're gonna do a bit of an art show. On the count of 3, I'm gonna have you lift up your boards nice and proud, and we're gonna see how you did, all right? I know some of you sounded nervous, but that's okay. Like I said, he's difficult, so I'm gonna be proud no matter what. Ready? Oh, and when you turn on your boards, I want you to give me your evil laugh, because we're doing villains. Ready? 1, 2, 3, Facilier. Wow, yes! He's looking so good. Everyone did a great job all around. Loving the cheekbones. He's looking so great. Nice big smiles. Everyone did a great job with the hat. I'm loving these. Everyone did a great job with the eyes. Very evil. I love it. Well, give yourselves a big round of applause. You did amazing. Great job. You should be really proud.